All right, time for the Players Club, the Week 10 version of the college football season. Mick Gillespie, On3 Sports Bama Insider, joins us on the show as he always does. That's Lance Taylor. I'm Jim Dunaway. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Timeout Lounge, Pearl River Resort in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Mick, start us off by telling us about that great resort over there, and we'll get into 5 plays that you'll get winners on this week.
Yeah, guys, I got to take you over. I've said that before, but I really mean it. This time of year is so great. The weather's perfect. Get out there and golf at Dancing Rabbit, which is the Augusta you can play. It's right there next to the Golden Star and obviously our Golden Moon, and you can get out there at the Timeout Sports Lounge inside the casino. Have such a great time. 10 kiosks. You got the VIP terminals, 3 retail stations, hang out, watch all the games, the World Series going right now, college football, which we love, NFL, anything worldwide, they have that as well. So Golden Moon is just a really fun place to hang out, restaurants, table games, all that part of it, and a fun place to go.
Yeah, looking forward to getting over there with you one time and getting in the Dancing Rabbit around there. Heard so much about that. Let's get to some winners. I'll start with Lance on this one, Mick. Syracuse and Pittsburgh playing 2:30 on the ACC network there. Syracuse, tough couple of weeks against Clemson and Notre Dame. What's left in the tank?
Well, you look at Pittsburgh, you're defending ACC champions, and you thought with Keaton Slovis coming over that they would pick up where they left off. Maybe not as good as Kenny Pickett. Just hasn't been a good team. I backed them last week. Didn't work out. They looked good in the first half. Completely fell apart in the second half. 2 different teams. Syracuse 6-2 against the number. Pittsburgh 2-6 against the number. 2 really good running backs here. Probably low scoring. The totals dropped to 48.5. I'm going to continue to be stubborn and back Pittsburgh. Syracuse has lost back-to-back games. If Pittsburgh can contain Sean Tucker, I think they'll have some success here. I like Pitt minus 3.5.
I really think Schrader got banged up in that Clemson game. He ended up having to come out of the game last week. I think that's going to continue. I like Pittsburgh too. Mick, what about you? Are you riding with the orange?
Yeah, look, 2 really bad weeks for Syracuse, right? I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, they're going into Clemson. They got the lead into the fourth quarter. You're thinking, hey, might be their year, right? The Orange's year. And then they end up losing. And then last week, 4 of 15 on 3rd and 4th downs against Notre Dame. Notre Dame ran the ball right over top of them, physically beat them up. Now they go to Pitt, but Pitt coming off of a loss as well, as LT said. The road team in this game, 4-1-1 against the spread in their last 6 meetings. That's the only reason I'm taking Syracuse in this one. 3.5. I'll take the points. I think it'll be a close, low-scoring game. Syracuse has had 2 straight weeks of bad luck. Maybe that changes against Pitt.
Okay, on the Players Club here, brought to you by the Timeout Lounge, Pearl River Resort in Philadelphia, a short drive from Birmingham. We go to game number 2. It is Tennessee and Georgia, the battle to see who really is number 1. Number 1 in the polls, hosting number 1 in the football committee. Who do you like, Mick, Tennessee or Georgia in this one?
I'm excited about this game. Can't wait to watch it. Going to have some people over at the house, to enjoy it with me. It's setting up to be a lot like when Alabama and LSU played in 2019. One team's number 1 in one thing, and then Georgia's number 1 in all the polls except the college football playoff rankings. The Volunteers beat Alabama. You know about that game, 52-49. That was a huge win for them. They beat LSU on the road, 40-13. They absolutely killed Kentucky. I'm still trying to figure out how to stop this offense, right? And look, Georgia, I know they had that big win against Oregon week 1, was like 49-3, but then they had barely got past Missouri in the game. They gave up 22 points to the Tigers. They're not any good at all, right? Tennessee's averaging 553 yards of total offense and just under 50 points a game. That's number 1 in the nation in both categories. And then Georgia people say, well, look, our defense is ranked 4th in the country, and we're only giving up 262 yards, and we're second against points allowed, 10.5, right? The problem is that they lost Nolan Smith in that game against Florida. I'm not a big Stetson Bennett guy. Look, I know he can manage games, but he's only thrown 9 touchdowns this year. Brock Bowers, their tight end, is a big-time weapon. But when Georgia falls behind in these high-scoring games, they get into big trouble. I thought about this game a lot. I would take Tennessee on the money line. I know that's crazy, but I just don't know how Georgia's going to stop them, and I don't think that they're going to be able to score with them. Right now, Tennessee's on a roll, and I'm taking the Volunteers. Until someone shows me how to slow them down, that's the first thing. The second thing is that last year, Alabama should have beaten Georgia twice. And we've found out in the SEC championship game, Georgia always has that game where they get blown out. They would have gotten blown out in the national championship game had Alabama had their two top receivers. I think that Georgia's due for a loss, and I think it's going to be ugly.
Tennessee on the money line, he says.
Tennessee hasn't beaten Florida, Alabama, Georgia in the same season since 2004. They're 7-1 against the number. Best cover percentage right now in college football. You look at the other side. This is a game Georgia has won 5 consecutive times by 20-plus points in each. I go back to that Alabama-Tennessee game. Alabama was up 7, controversial interception return where I believe Alabama wins the game by double digits if it's not flagged in the end zone PI. I think Georgia rolls here. I think this Tennessee offense is legitimate. It's dynamic, but I think Georgia is able to slow it down. They lead the FBS with 28 rushing touchdowns. Stetson plays clean football. Georgia's 4-0 at home this year. I think Georgia wins and covers.
I like Georgia too, Mick, and I'll tell you the reason why. I feel like Kirby Smart and Nick Saban's DNA defensively are the same, and I feel like this is almost like Tennessee having to play a team a second time very quickly. That free look that Kirby and his coaches got on tape watching Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama play, they believe the same thing defensively. They're going to be able to adjust with a week of preparation to some things Alabama will get to see again if Tennessee does win this game in the SEC championship game. We're brought to you by Timeout Lounge, Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Short drive from Birmingham, shorter drive from Tuscaloosa and Jackson, Mississippi. If you go over there and bet $50, you get to play the Dancing Rabbit Golf Course for only a $30 greens fees. It's like being in Vegas, but it's really a lot more fun. Timeout Lounge, Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Game number 3, LT, I'll start with you. UTSA and UAB here in Birmingham, Protective Stadium. The past few Conference USA champions playing in this game.
You know, you look at UAB, disappointing season, obviously, for Bryant Vincent and the Blazers. Their 4 losses by a combined 21 points, all 4 on the road. Now they're hosting this game at home. This game is right out of Pickett. UTSA's got one of the best underrated coaches in Jeff Traylor, a lot of experience with Frank Lucas at quarterback. But I like UAB with Dwayne McBride running the football. Again, they're 4-0 at home, much different team at home. They played clean football last week. I think they played clean football. I think it'll be a great game, but I think UAB at home is the play here.
4-4, I'm going to go UTSA, the out-of-town group, Mick. I like Frank Harris at quarterback. He's a stud, but I think that's a better roster right now maybe than what UAB has. What do you think about this game?
And by the way, I went Frank Lucas. That's American Gangster. Used to deal a lot of heroin. The Robin Hood of the Bronx back in the day. So I meant Frank Harris.
Oh, but I think Frank Harris.
I knew what you meant.
I think Frank Harris is going to deal as well, though. It works out good.
Yeah, you didn't say Frank O'Harris, though, right? The linebacker.
Right.
Or defensive end. Look, this has been such a disappointing year for UAB. This team should be much better than 4-4, but they had the coach left right before the season. They got another guy in there. Look, and I hear him on your show each week. Seems like a good dude. But the problem is that they're wasting what should be and what could have been a great season. They're 4-4. And they don't have what the Roadrunners do have, and that's this ability to find a way to win games. And that's why I'm taking UTSA. I get it. Frank Harris is 7th best in the nation passing. He's going to throw the football. UAB's defense ranks 9th against the pass. That's one of their strengths. They're at home and all that stuff. Look, Dwayne McBride's going to end up in the NFL. He's going to be a great running back there as well. The guy's got 12 touchdowns. He might be the best running back in the country. He's having the best season. But UAB just finds ways to lose right now. They better hope they get quarterback Dylan Hopkins back because that'll make them a lot better. But the Roadrunners just know how to get it done. And it's even. I think they'll find a way to get to 7-2.
Alabama, LSU, Mick, I'll start with you. Tide and Tigers, Baton Rouge, a familiar scene in the SEC West. This one could crown a champion, but we got to remember Ole Miss is still in the hunt too. But it's a big game in the SEC West race.
Yeah, how fun is it? I mean, Alabama's had all this success down in Baton Rouge over the years, but Brian Kelly, the new coach, said he took the job because he wants to beat Nick Saban. His team's found a lot of momentum with wins over Florida, on the road, and then came back. They beat Mississippi State also as well this year. They beat Ole Miss, beat them up in the second half. The problem is that they always fall behind and then have to get back in the game. And if Alabama scores on their opening drive, right, they're 49-50 in their last 50 games. You just can't let Alabama score first. Bama's also first nationally in running per attempt over 6 yards. So I'm wondering if Alabama's going to try to establish the run because LSU has such a great front, right? But going into this game, I think the biggest key is Bryce Young. Bryce Young's health. He had a couple of weeks off. He wasn't apparently able to throw the ball deep against Tennessee, although it really didn't seem to matter because he looked amazing in that game. Ja'Cory Brooks, Trayshawn Holden, are those the guys that he's going to look for in the red zone? Maybe, someone else. I don't know. And I absolutely love Gibbs. Bama 13-5 coming off of bye weeks with Nick Saban. And for LSU to win, they're going to have to, in my opinion, score 30 or more points. I just don't think they're going to do that. I think Alabama's defense is going to be stifling. Daniels is going to be probably kept from running the football. They'll make him throw it, and it'll probably look a lot like that Tennessee game. I'm taking Bama and giving up the 13.
What about you, Lance?
I've seen worse quarterbacks look better against Alabama than Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, last couple of weeks, is playing tremendous football. I know it's not against an Alabama-type caliber defense. You look at Alabama since the 2011 national championship against LSU, they're 10-1 against the Tigers. They're one loss 2019 to that incredible Joe Burrow-led team. The difference is Nick Saban was going against the likes of Les Miles and Ed Orgeron. Now he's going against, in my opinion, an elite coach in Brian Kelly, who has had time off to study this Alabama team that really struggles on the road, that is undisciplined, 125th nationally in penalties. I've seen the road woes over the last couple of years. I think it is a major trend. I'm going to take LSU plus 13.5.
LSU plus 13.5. LT is expecting another double-digit penalty game for Alabama. It's sort of become part of their DNA. One more game here in our Timeout Lounge, Pearl River Resort Players Club, and that's the interim coach Carnell Williams in Auburn in Starkville to take on Mike Leach in Mississippi State. I'll go ahead and tell you I'm taking Mississippi State in this one, Mick, because I don't know what we're going to get from Auburn. It can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. It has been good for the interim coaches this year, but I'm going to go against that trend. I'll take Mississippi State.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I just don't know what Carnell Williams coached Auburn team's going to look like. I was thinking about this today during my daily jog. I remember being on the Alabama lacrosse team back in the day, and we stunk, and we played hard, and we wanted to do everything right, and we got beat a lot, my first year. And then the second year, we got better players, and we won a lot of games, You can't do anything about your roster. I don't care how hard you play or you don't play. Mississippi State's they've got more stability. They've got better roster. They got Will Rogers. They're going to throw the ball around. It's been a turbulent season for Auburn. I hate to give up the points, but the problem is Auburn just has a tough time scoring. They really don't hold their hat on anything. Maybe they can run the ball a little bit. I'm sure Carnell will do that, but I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole if I was really putting my money on it because I'm so confused by what's going on right now at Auburn. But just for the show's sake, I would take Mississippi State.
I think I'm going to take the other side. I look at Auburn's offense. It seems to be getting a little bit better. Ashford's getting more and more confidence. And you go back to the Arkansas game, the offense didn't play bad. They were 11-19 on third downs. They had almost 500 total yards. They didn't turn the football over. And I think at least for 30 minutes, they're going to have a ton of energy for Carnell. It was a game of two halves. Auburn dominated the first half against Mississippi State last year, and the Mississippi State had their biggest comeback in program history in that second half, led by Will Rogers. I like Will Rogers, the quarterback, but I like Auburn in this spot. I think 12.5 is too many.
All right, so those are the 5 games. Mick, tell us one more time about the Timeout Lounge, and then I'll recap the games for everybody on how we all picked.
Yeah, you got to go over to Philadelphia, Mississippi, and check out Golden Moon Casino, the Silver Star attached right there to it with a bridge. You go right over one place or the other. The Timeout Sports Lounge is part of that. It's like Vegas, and it's the closest one to us. I mean, it's a Vegas-style sports book. You got all the TVs. You don't need the Fire Stick. You want to see a game? They'll throw it up there. 5 kiosks, 10 VIP terminals, which are really awesome because you get in there and you can just watch whatever you want. They have their own little TVs and sound. And then you can bet there as well. 3 retail stations, which I like, because if I have a question, they'll be able to answer that as well. And this is the best time of year for betting sports because you got so many things going on. The World Series tonight with Justin Verlander and, the Philadelphia Phillies against the Astros. You got the NFL tonight. What's that going to look like? All weekend full football with college football. They'll have all those games on there as well. NASCAR on Sunday. So check it out. It's really a short drive from Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, wherever you might be watching in the South. And we need to get over there because if you bet $30, you can play Dancing Rabbit. If you bet $50, you can play Dancing Rabbit for $30, and that's a really great deal.
And remember also, if you're going over there, you can use my picks at lanceslog.com. 18 consecutive winning weeks. Mick, how about that? 18 consecutive. You got to go back to June.
Hot.
It's already 5-0 to start this week, so jump on board. We've got everything from the NBA, World Series, college football, NFL. We're going to win for you. It's only $90 per month. Free play every single day. lanceslog.com. 18 consecutive non-losing weeks.
2:30 ACC Network. Mick likes Syracuse. LT and I like Pitt. 2:30 CBS. Mick likes Tennessee. LT and I like Georgia. 2:30 on Stadium. Mick and I like UTSA. LT likes UAB. 6 o'clock ESPN. Mick and I like Alabama. LT likes LSU. 6:30 Auburn to Mississippi State. Mick and I like Mississippi State. LSU likes Auburn. That's the Players Club for Week 10. Enjoy the weekend, Mick.